Hello, this is Dr. Dennis Kimbro, and welcome to the classroom. Well, I just walked into my study, just had a fantastic presentation right here in Atlanta. A group of business owners, male and female, all walks of life, all products, all services. I was the presenter, only spoke for about 30 minutes, opened it up for Q&A. It was set up by one of the big three banks right here in Atlanta. And though everybody was completely engaged, we opened up for the Q&A, and I tried to answer all their concerns, all the challenges that entrepreneurs, and particularly black entrepreneurs, face on a daily, if not monthly and annual basis. Well, the last question that was asked, you figured it, you know what's going on today. It was about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State to go to Colorado. And I guess the reason why this was a great and probing and interesting question, because a number of the business owners in attendance, they had finished from HBCUs and they know where I teach at Clark Atlanta University. I don't know if they were ready for my response, but I had to call it the way I see it. And I told them, I said, this was a great study, great case study. Whether you want Deion to stay or you want him to go ahead and rise and elevate, as he says, and go to Colorado, that's a different issue. But look at this case study, what this one individual has done. Okay, so number one, burn it into your psyche. All great organizations, institutions, companies, businesses, and the like, they live life or they live their business inside out. Dr. Kimbro, what in the world do you mean by that? They're driven by their mission and they're driven by their vision statement. And from day one, Deion Sanders was very intentional. His experience at Jackson State was going to be inside out. Why? He was very clear about his mission and very clear about his vision. And what was his mission? Number one, uplift black men. And we'll talk about that, young black males. Number two, he wanted to go undefeated. He wanted to be 11-0. Even when he played, at Florida State, he wanted a perfect season. And he told everybody that. And number three, he wanted to be a SWAC champion. That was his mission statement, and that was his vision statement, and he was very clear. He was very clear. That was his value proposition. I don't know, he had his videos, 2 or 3 videos a day, wherever he was going. They were taping him on the like because he wanted everybody to be crystal clear why he is here and what he came to do. Number two, Deion Sanders didn't build just a team. He built a movement. He built a movement. And what was that movement based on? Empowering young black males. That's what his movement was about. And that's why everybody gravitated to him. He told the players on his team, he said, men, sooner or later when it comes to life, I don't know if you're going to go to the NFL. I don't know if you're going to go to the USFL. I don't know what you're going to do. But he said, but sooner or later, when it comes to life, everybody in this room must stand in the A gap and be accountable. Now, for those of you who haven't played football, I played football. No one wants to stand in the A gap. The biggest and the baddest stand in the A gap. And what is the A gap? It is the gap between the center and the guard. Why don't you want to stand in the A gap? Because you know you're going to get hit. If you don't want to hit and you don't want to be hit, you don't want to stand in the A gap. Well, that's what he told his players. He said, man, when it comes to life, you got to stand in the A gap and say, I'm responsible and I'm accountable. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm going to give unto others. I'm going to give service. I'm going to give of myself. I'm responsible and I'm accountable. And he told black mothers, he said, black mother, you have done your job. I salute you. I am so grateful that the job that you have done. And black mothers, there are millions of black mothers out here, from New York to California, who would do and give anything that you've done to have a black male attending school, to attending college. And I don't care whether that college is an HBCU, I don't care whether that college is a PWI. So he told black mothers, black women, whether they're the mother, whether they're the grandmother, whether they're the surrogate, whether they're the auntie, you have done your job, black mother. You have done your job, black woman. Now allow your son, allow this young black male to do his. To do his. He said it was time to stand in the A gap of life and say, I'm responsible and I'm going to do my job. And number 3, Deion Sanders left the same way that he came to Jackson State. He left with his character, his integrity, and his trust intact. He did something that Nick Saban couldn't do when he left the Miami Dolphins to go to Alabama. He did something that Lincoln Riley couldn't do when he left Oklahoma to go to USC. And he did something that Jimbo Fisher couldn't do when he took the job at Texas A&M. And what couldn't they do that Deion Sanders did? He told the truth, but he told the truth first. He came to that locker room, the same locker room where he speaks and spoke to his team every day, and sat in that chair, seated right next to the college president, and he said, man, I want to tell you something, but I want it to come from me first. Yes, I took the job at Colorado, and this is why I took it, but I'm really not leaving you. You know how to reach me, and I hope that we still remain connected. So that's why. And here's the thing, as I said in a previous video, I mean, just like black business owners, don't allow anybody to pimp their gift. Jackson State hired Deion Sanders to coach a football team, and he gave you so much more. He not only gave you a football team, built a football team, he built your city and he built your state, and he refurbished your national brand. So don't pimp his gift. I guess Colorado could afford him and you couldn't, but he gave you so much more. I mean, look, his offensive coordinator that he had was only making what? $47,000 a year. $47,000 a year. He took his coordinator with him. His coordinator's making well over $400,000 a year. You don't pimp anybody's gift. And Deion Sanders wasn't going to allow anybody to pimp his. I mean, who buys a Mercedes-Benz? Those who can afford a Mercedes-Benz. Who buys a Bentley? Those who can afford a Bentley. So there you are. Number 1, like I said, he burned it into the psyche. You always are intentional and you lead with a mission and vision statement. Number 2, constantly uplifting black men. And number 3, he left with his character and his integrity and his trust intact. Well, this is Dr. Dennis Kimbro in the Global Classroom. As always, I hope you learned something. And remember, the wealth choice is arguably your best choice. God bless.